Okay. Well, hey, everybody. Hello, Empowered Spoonies. We have a very special guest today. I am thrilled to introduce Jenna Green, a fellow Spoonie advocate and blogger. And I'm going to go ahead and welcome her now. Hey, Jenna, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. We love the fact that you actually joined, and I know that getting here was such an ordeal, but thank you for being here.
We figured
So,
it out.
yes, exactly. We always do. So I would love for our Invisible Me Spoonies to get to know you a little bit better. And can you share a little bit about your health journey and how you got here?
Yeah, absolutely. So now I'm super open about my health journey and my struggles because, well, I hope that it will help someone else feel less alone. I didn't always feel that way, but everyone has their own diagnosis story and the way that they deal and they have to process and deal with all of that. But I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is a degenerative neurological disease without a cure yet. Um, in it was 4.5 years ago, January of 2016. My first presenting symptoms were optic neuritis, which was basically my eye was really twitchy after having my gallbladder removed a few weeks later. So, of course, I did get blown off by the ER doctor who just told me to go home and that I was dizzy and that I just needed to go home. Um,
Wow.
but that's kind of I've never been one not to speak my mind. I've always been a loud, outspoken woman. Um, Not sorry. I'm no longer sorry about it. That's the difference. So I knew something was wrong. And a few weeks later, it was still wrong. So I followed up and I went to a neurologist. And I'm lucky to be in Boston, where we have some of the best hospitals and doctors in the world. And the neurologist looked at me and was like, "Wait, you drove yourself here?" And I was like, "Yeah. I mean, what else was I supposed to do? Because I've been dizzy for like weeks. Like, you know." I was like, "Yeah." And her look of concern was like the instant that I knew like this wasn't a thing that I was just making up, at least.
Wow.
But I did all of the standard MS tests, which are typically a lumbar puncture and an MRI. They also had given me a CT scan when I went to the ER for the dizziness post surgery, a week or two post surgery. So they found with the CT scan, well, the MRI gave me clearly showed that I had multiple sclerosis, and I was seen by a multiple sclerosis specialist, neurologist. And he gave me that official diagnosis, like I said, in January 2016, and showed me how it was very clear that, I did have MS. And he was very kind and spent actually hours with me. And it was, I was very lucky in that way. Um, and, he gave me all of the options because, like I said, there's no cure, but there are disease modifying therapies, which
Okay.
don't make you feel better. They don't help with your symptoms, but they are designed to slow the progression of your disease because it's progressive and your immune system is essentially attacking the nerve coverings, the myelin, it's the nerve coverings. Um, so it's essentially trying to slow down your body from attacking itself. So at the time, I went on what was the most effective statistically treatment on the market. It's a snowflake disease. So everyone with MS is different. You and I could have the same diagnosis date and the same presenting symptom, but have completely different experiences, completely different symptoms now, do manage well on completely different medications, which is frustrating, right?
Or
Especially for a patient. And I know it's frustrating for our doctors as well, but it is a really important thing for people to understand because what helps me may not help someone else. And I'm only qualified to share the statistics that I've learned from the doctors or the pharmaceutical companies. But like, for example, right now in Massachusetts, we're talking about the importance of if you switch health insurances that your MS medication is still covered.
Okay.
It's not just like switching antacids. Like you can't just try another brand and you'll be
That's very
fine.
true.
Yeah,
So to avoid this whole problem of step therapy all over again, if you just transfer over to a different insurance, which a lot of us go through. That's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
So, it was okay at first. And I got on, I had to fight the insurance to not do the whole step therapy thing, to be on the least effective medication and go on the most effective medication. Cause I was like, wait, I didn't even know it was step therapy. I didn't know what that was. Um, but I was like, oh, you want me to fail on another med, a cheaper one, and have brain damage and possible like hospitalization, steroids, like maybe need rehab, losing function. I was like, oh, heck no. Go ahead and bill me. Bring it on. Like, see what happens. I was a lot younger back then, obviously. 4 years ago, I was young and naive as to how the world worked. But that's kind of when I decided, oh, I'm not going to be quiet about this. Because it was a month or so after my official diagnosis, and I'd been really quiet about it publicly. And I was like, no, I'm a social media marketing manager by trade, so I know I have a platform, I have a privilege and a voice. And I was like, oh, this isn't gonna fly with me. And as much as I had a great supportive family and friends, and I still do, and I'm super lucky, there's something to be said for knowing you're not alone from people like us, like talking with you, even though we have completely different life experiences and different symptoms and things. It's still good to hear that I'm not alone in my struggle or my situation. Even if they're different, it's sometimes there's a thing that only like a fellow Spoonie can understand.
yeah, precisely. So you kind of explained that you're a social media marketing background. So what made you start your blog and share your journey on social media? Obviously, that's a starting point, but what made you completely share your story, be completely open about it on social media?
A part of it has been therapy for me. It sounds selfish, but it is. Because it helps me, I think, more than anything else, especially on my bad days, because I have that community built up, the people that I can count on when I really don't feel well. And I can go back and look at my whole experience over the last 4 years, and no, I haven't blogged or shared everything. And I, full disclosure, like batch my photos a lot. Like, I said I took a photo of my dog the other day when I was just like flat out fatigued and on the couch, and just one of those surprise like moments where your body is just like, you're done, you
Yeah.
know. And my dog was being really cute, but I never even think to take photos of myself when I feel terrible, unless I'm at the hospital, and I'll take a few funny photos, you know. But because when I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day, and I'm just focusing on breathing and surviving. Like, breathe. I don't even usually watch TV, to be honest. And some people are different, and that's cool. But like, I I don't have photos of those bad days. But sometimes for me, it helps to look back at the good days and the good times. So it really helps me. And then knowing that I'm helping someone else, like, that drives me. And knowing that I can make an impact in positive change in politics and healthcare, in someone's attitude about invisible illness, because maybe they see me and they think, well, you look fine, but they've read my blog or they follow me on Instagram and they know that, well, indeed, I look fine. Thank you.
Thank
But
you
you
for the
look,
compliment.
right? Like, but you don't look sick. Well, it's not exactly a compliment. Like, MS doesn't make you ugly. I still like makeup. Like, I'm not giving up lipstick just because I have MS. Like,
Thank you. No,
right? Like, I,
I'm for me actually when I'm clean faced and I'm fine and I look without makeup is actually when I'm the most comfortable, when I'm not as in pain, when I'm not as fatigued. When break out the palette, actually put makeup on means I'm not feeling good today. So I'm going to try to make myself look the bomb as possible while I go through this.
I mean, that makes sense. You got to do what you got to do. There are some days I don't wear any makeup, like, but most days I do. I like it. I do it for me. But regardless, makeup or not, we don't look sick. And also, what does sick look like, and what does disabled look like? And this is just ableism. That's what it is. And I didn't even know that like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I kind of hope that if someone follows me on social media or reads something or listens to us talking, they, next time they see a younger looking person using a mobility aid or walking slowly or sitting down on a bench or whatever it is, like clearly needing a minute, maybe you just like are a little bit kinder.
Exactly. Kindness goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
With ableism, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I use a mobility aid. I use a cane, I use a walker. A cane's on the good days, walker on the bad. And sometimes wheelchair, it can get that way. And when I'm shopping and I go to a supermarket, I'm going to be fatigued by the third line I go in. It just happens.
Yeah.
Um, but I have to say, like, until that cane became visible, until that walker became a visible mobility aid, people used to say, "Oh, you look fine. You're just overweight," and I'm just like,
Oh.
no, no, that's not the case. And the whole bombarding of like, oh, celery juice can help, yoga can help.
Right. Have you tried yoga?
And don't get me wrong, yoga is amazing.
Yoga. But
I love
yeah,
yoga, but I'm not going to twist myself in a pretzel knowing that I'm not going to survive that halfway through and not get myself out of it. You're going to have to call the ambulance, take me to the ER to untangle me.
no. Right.
But it's funny how until the mobility aid shows up, and then you have the questions just like, oh, you have an accident? Oh, no. So what do you have? And it gets uncomfortable. Like there's an author, Alana Jacqueline, who made business cards to just hand it to people that made those awkward questions and like, it's not comfortable, but this is my information. Here you are. This is what I have, and we're done. I'm walking away now. So,
That's pretty genius, actually. I love that.
actually, yeah.
I mean,
And
I hate that she needed it, but I love that.
yeah, I wish that she had a website and actually sell something customizable, or you can make your own. But it's awesome. It's an awesome idea. So I know that you're involved with advocacy. Obviously, you're wearing the advocate T-shirt, and and I know that you even visited with Senator and previous candidate Warren. Can you share a little bit more about how that happened, and for people that are interested in advocacy work, how did you get there?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. I've had some really, I always say that MS sucks. I don't recommend it, like 0 stars, chronic illness, do not recommend it. I also have chronic back pain. I was in a car accident, but the doctors literally said to me, like, lose weight and your back will feel better. And I'm like, but 2 days ago, my back was fine and I was the same weight. Okay, so this is not from me being fat, but thank you so much for your advice, right? So I feel you on that. Like that was cringing for me because I just want to shake some people, but it was a while before I got involved, I'd say, in like the official level of advocacy, because anyone can be an advocate. I fully believe that. I think first you have to be your own best advocate at your doctor's office, with your medical professionals, and because they are, sure, they're professionals, but they work for you, and only you know your body. You know your body the best. So while it's important to get their opinion and follow their advice and all those things, I'm not saying just stop going to the doctor. Remember that you know yourself better than they do. And as much as they know about your disease or your situation, you have to speak up for yourself. And you have to speak up for yourself with your health insurance and with your family and your friends, and set boundaries and do things so that you can live your best life. And that's advocacy. Because I mean, like, really, I didn't realize I was being an advocate at first. I just didn't shut up. I didn't know that was an advocate. I just thought, oh, I'm just not going to shut up. I'm just not going to shut up about this. Well, apparently that is advocacy. But I think it was 2 years or so. The first year after my diagnosis, I did participate in a local Walk MS, and I did some fundraising, which is another form of advocacy for sure. And the year after that as well. And then I think it was going my third year after my diagnosis, I wanted to be more involved, but I wasn't really sure how. And I got an email. I'm big into vision boards. And so it was like on my vision board, like to be more into advocacy, because I'd seen some other people doing it online. And again, I wasn't really sure how, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, do this advocacy thing, like make more of a difference for people. And then I got an email from the MS Society, and it was like, do you want to get our MS activist emails? And I was like, oh, sure. And so I signed up, and then I got an email that was like, we're having a Massachusetts state advocacy day. Do you want to come to like the state house? And I was like, yeah, totally. So I signed up, and it was kind of like just happened from there.
Awesome.
I made some great friends. I connected with the director of advocacy in New England, who's amazing. She's an amazing woman. Um, and that's how I was able to do the visit with Senator Warren's office last summer.
Okay.
I was lucky to be able to go to the public policy conference in March in DC, right before the pandemic started. And I met so many amazing MS advocates there, as well as was able to meet with some legislators and legislative staff. And
Wow.
it was super empowering. And again, the thing that makes a huge difference, and I didn't know, I had no idea at first, but the way that we're going to change this world is by sharing our experiences and sharing our stories. Because when people hear how it's so absolutely horrifying or terrifying for me to have to think that I might have to switch medications because of my insurance, or that I'm supposed to have a medication fail me and cause brain damage before I can have a more effective one, or that the majority of people with MS can't even afford their medications so that they're skipping them, or whatever. There are, it's not whatever, but there are thousands of stories that you can tell, right? And it's the power of hearing that story. You can see it in the faces of the change makers,
Yeah,
because you can't know what you don't know. You simply don't understand. They don't live in our world.
exactly. And obviously, like last month, a lot of people don't consider chronic illness a disability. It is, it's an invisible disability. And last month, we had something called Vote or Rev Up for the Vote. People don't realize that the right to vote and accessibility is part of advocacy. Our vote counts. And all the stuff that you see regarding step therapy and better healthcare, high quality healthcare when you have a chronic illness, all of that is included in advocacy. And so I just shared the link for people that have MS to get involved and advocate for change. But also, like, if you have any chronic illness out there, if you go to that website or go to somebody that has something going on and you search for the advocacy tablet, a lot of the times they have simple as sharing an email with your congressman or representative, sharing something, and that can be like your step in, and then you can have the opportunity with Jenna to go see a legislator or an advocate, and be on the hill, for God's sakes. That's awesome. Uh,
Yeah.
so it really it changes you. And as you said, like, some people don't have a voice right now, and I know that when you first get diagnosed, sometimes in my case specifically, my voice died down. I lost myself. It was so hard to come back out of that shell. And ironically, advocacy brought that voice back out, and it's hard to put the little jack in a box back in now.
Yeah.
So when you come in, how do you share advocacy on your social media? Do you create a post? Do you make it personal? Do you make it funny? How do you propose that you do that for somebody who wants to share?
I say do it as authentically as possible. If you're not one that jokes about your disease, you don't have to start joking about it. I joke about it because that's part of my coping tools. Okay, my therapist doesn't find me as funny as I am. I think I am, or neither does my mom. But whatever. I find myself hilarious, so I joke about it, and it's one of my coping techniques. So I don't know if I'm always funny on my videos or my posts, but like sometimes I say funny things and sometimes I don't. I try to be as authentic as possible with whatever I'm sharing. And you don't have to like I said, you don't have to take pictures of the bad days to say that you have bad days. And You don't have to have a visible illness to be disabled. You know what? I have varying stages of disability, I guess is what you would call it, because as I identify as disabled, because I am, but I don't always need that cane. I have used a walker before. I have had back surgery. I've had multiple surgeries, but not related to my MS. But my cane folds up for a reason, because sometimes I need it and sometimes I don't. And sometimes I don't know if I'm going to need it. And so I take it with me just in case, right? And it took me a while to even get to that point, to recognize that sometimes it made my life easier and my experience better. And so why was I being weird about it? It was that internalized ableism. And I do use a scooter when I go to the market or something, which I don't really do anymore, but like hypothetically, I'll do again one day.
Yeah.
And I used the scooter in DC at the Capitol because it was huge, and there's no way I could have done it. So
Yeah.
mobility aids are just that. They allow you to be more mobile. They're nothing to be ashamed of. And now that I see it that way, my life has gotten a lot better. But for me, it was like really internalized, because I would never judge you, but I was very judgmental of myself. So I think you kind of have to do some of that internal work before you start in advocacy, or at least I did. I can't speak for everyone, but for me, that's what I had to do. And so you don't have to if you're not comfortable sharing pictures of yourself using a cane, don't share those pictures. Just talk about the issues that people with disability are facing. You can never go wrong when you're sharing facts or statistics.
Exactly.
Um, that's something that I've learned. If you don't know what to say, share a fact or statistic, or a link to a resource. That's always helpful. If you don't have the words for it, which is fine. I forget words and have fatigue all the time. So, just that honesty is fine. And, you don't have to share everything either. If you're not comfortable sharing some things, then don't share those things. I'm a proud auntie, but you'll never see a photo of my niece on social media. And that's not my rule, but it's a rule I respect, right? So even though I can talk about being an auntie with a disability and buying my niece like a Barbie in a wheelchair, because I want to make sure that she knows that that's normal. And if we ever get to go places together, she sees me in a wheelchair, she's not going to be weirded out, right? I mean, she's only 3, so I don't know that she's going to put all those things together right now. She's pretty smart. Obviously, she gets it from her auntie, but like, that's a lot to ask of a 3-year-old. See,
Yeah.
I can't be super serious. It's just me, but like, I can talk about that experience because I'm comfortable with it, and because my family's comfortable with it. But if there are things that you're not comfortable sharing, you don't have to share those things. You can still make a difference. You can still make an impact. You don't have to take a photo of yourself hooked up to an IV and doing a silly dance in like a hospital bathroom. You don't have to go live on camera if you're not comfortable doing it. And some of these things come with more time, and some of them you'll never feel comfortable, and that's fine. Do what is best for you. But emailing your congressperson, following your local legislators on social media, that's the least we can all do as humans, let alone as advocates, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are concerned about the world, and I don't want to say like you should be, but you should be. If you're a human in the world, maybe you might want to be concerned about the world and the future of the world. You know, don't let it overtake your life. Like set those boundaries again, because especially right now, I find the media and the news to be very overwhelming, and it's triggering for my anxiety. So, I took Twitter off my phone. Okay, so I don't have Twitter on my phone, but that's like a boundary for me. But that doesn't mean that I don't see what's going on in the world and educate myself, right?
Exactly. And right now, it's a crucial year. It's 2020. Regardless of who you are, Republican or Democrat, your voice needs to be heard. Your
Yes.
representative is there for a job. This is the job that we elected them to be there. They're supposed to be the voice for the people in places that we can't be, which is government at this point. So do your research. Make sure that you're voting for the person that is key to your heart issues and has the same views as you. It's not about a competition at this point. It's about your views and what you can make a difference. and picking the right candidate to actually be able to do that with. Um,
Absolutely. And I mean, even sending an email makes an impact. I emailed, um, like you said, had went to Senator Warren's office, but I emailed yesterday actually about some upcoming relief programs and step therapy and surprise billing, which is for me is I'm very close to my heart. I think that's kind of the most important part of what I was trying to get across. But I was like, look, you don't have to go to a congressperson's office or be an official volunteer to
yep,
email with your local senator or representative or government official. Their emails are readily available online. You'll probably get like a form response, but
yep,
sharing your experience and saying like, look, I got my medication cost $100,000 and I was scheduled for this surgery and I was under anesthesia and the anesthesiologist was out of network, so I got like a $12,000 bill. What? Like I was at a hospital that was in network, like that makes no sense. We all know that.
yep.
Everyone understands that, but when you hear that from a personal perspective, and that's not actually my story, but that's just I think a good example right now.
Sure.
But I have similar ones, and I'm just kind of honestly like fatigue, man. I'm just tired. I'm like, I don't know how much the tar bill was, but like it was a lot, okay? And it was like just the most ridiculous situation. And you know, unless you've had that happen to you, you're like, wait, what? You had that scheduled? And you're like, I don't know how much the anesthesiologist costs. Okay, but it was a lot. And I was like, I don't have money for this. Why is this happening? So
Exactly.
you can email your congressperson. And I mean, like sometimes phone calls are hard or give people anxiety too. Like I get, I lose my words and whatever. So email I think is a really good option. And you don't have, like I said, you don't have to go live or be in the state house to make a difference at all.
Exactly.
Um, even just changing one person's opinion about that law. If I could change one person's opinion and then they vote with that in mind because they know it could happen to them, because it could literally happen to anyone, right?
Exactly.
That's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge to me.
The biggest thing I would have to say is, for one, being empowered to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have this Empowered Spoonie series. Second, the more it becomes visible through advocacy or through just sharing your story, or in a way just putting it out there and having the knowledge be spread, just sharing awareness of what's going on. I think that that's a win-win situation. Awareness on something invisible that people can't see is the biggest thing for IMW. We want to make sure awareness is crucial. So for IMW, which is the Invisible Me Warriors, when it comes to having been diagnosed and everything else, we want to make sure that anybody that goes through that transition has the resources to be able to handle it. So, what resources would you have like to have when you were beginning your journey?
Well, I wish that I had you guys. um, because I love what you're doing here and it's
Thank you.
amazing. I'm super honored to be here. I just want to I'm just fangirling a little. But I do that. So,
Thanks, Jenna.
it's seriously what you're doing makes a huge difference because it makes people feel less alone. And I don't think that there's anything more powerful than that because if you feel like you are all alone in this world, you're not going to speak up about anything. You're not going to speak up for yourself. You're not going to speak up at the doctors and tell them your actual pain level. Because, when you live in chronic pain, you're like, it's like a 6. But like,
What's the pain scale when you're in
right.
chronic pain?
I'm like, I don't know, what's a 6? Like a 6 out of 10? I'm like, well, 10 is like I passed out on the street, right? Like, I don't know. That actually did happen to me once. So, like, whatever.
I've been
Pancreatitis,
there.
don't recommend.
I've
But
been there.
I was like, oh, fine. Then I passed out on the street. Oh, apparently that's a sign you should go to the hospital because you just have chronic pain and you don't know. But this kind of a community and knowing that I wasn't alone and like that you could look so good and still be sick and that not just 98-year-old ladies use canes or mobility devices, and you can find them that look kind of cute, actually. That for me would have been helpful, because I know I got like a lot of books and pamphlets, and I really like to like do some nerd research and education, and I'm like, everybody was like wicked old white ladies on this MS book, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
was 31. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what is happening here? This is ridiculous. And for that record, not everyone with MS is a woman or white. Like, so I can't even imagine if I was a black man seeing all these things and being like, this isn't me at all, which is a whole nother issue in our community. But
Diversification.
right, like, chronic illness doesn't discriminate, friends. So, there is no look. There is no, you are sick or you're not. Like, you can wear a t-shirt, but like beyond that, there's no name tag. I think the best thing I did for myself in the beginning was have a good therapist. And for me, that made a big difference. I know there's a lot of stigma around therapy, but even now you can get like text help. And I know Mental Health America has a really great program that's free, and you can text for help and, someone to talk to, because I mean, now more than ever, depression and anxiety are rampant in our country. And I mean, like, no wonder, obviously. That's why I continue to talk about my mental health with my chronic illness, because I don't see them as two separate things.
They're
They're
not.
they're not. They are. Mental illness is a chronic health issue, and it does affect my physical health as well, and my physical health affects my mental health. And so it's like a weird circle, right? Or
Of course.
something,
I feel like they're so interlinked, it's not even funny. And we're
right.
just starting to find that out, that, if my depression is bad, my pain increases, my mobility decreases, my fatigue increases. It's all connected because it's all your brain with your body. And I'm so glad that people are actually now starting to speak out more about mental health and trauma and PTSD with chronic illness. And I can't wait for more information and more statistics to come out to back everything up, and people start putting the stigma on mental
Yeah,
health so easily. So,
exactly. Because we're all dealing with hard stuff, all
yes,
of us. And then if your body is also like trying to fight you every darn day, you're like, man,
exactly. Yeah,
but I think part of the stigma is also like, well, if you say you're depressed, they're going to think they're only going to treat your depression and they're not going to treat your physical issues. So it's
exactly.
like this weird catch. And you're like, no, but yes, I did have depression before my diagnosis. It was completely under control, but like I've had it throughout my life. Okay. Um, and my depression is okay right now too, but like that doesn't mean that counseling isn't helpful for me and medication isn't
Exactly.
helpful for me. Like, yes, I still need my depression antidepressants. I'm not going to go off of them, especially not now. But
No.
but now I have anxiety too, which isn't a thing I had before I had MS. And I did have some very traumatic experiences throughout, my healthcare journey. And even though I've been very privileged to have great healthcare, I can say both of those things in one sentence. Like, I've had trauma and privilege. I know, that it's hard for everyone. So yeah, I would just say, please don't be afraid to ask for help, and search out people that get it, that are willing to talk about it, even if you're not ready to talk about it now, because the more you can hear about the experiences of others, like the more you can have that hope, I think, for knowing that, life isn't going to get back to normal. Like, chronic illness changes everything. I
Yes.
wish to say that it didn't, but that doesn't mean that everything can't be great again.
And if you have the proper support in anything that you do, it can help you, I guess, push you forward.
Yes.
Having and sometimes I know that some of us can't find that support in family. Sometimes finding it in friends. Sometimes finding it online, in
Yeah.
Instagram, and all a big huge community on Facebook, a support group.
Mhm.
Try to not be so shy and actually look for it, because there is the support out there, and it may not be in the things that you actually might think that are so obvious. So hopefully people can find whatever they need. So, that being said, what recommendation do you give fellow advocates? I know that you have a couple people that you follow, but who do you recommend?
Oh my gosh, so many people. I so many people. Brittany from A Hot MS is great. A Hot MS is like
A
her
hot
whole
MS.
handle. Especially if you are feeling uncomfortable about rocking a mobility aid. Um, because she rocks some fabulous ones and looks fabulous while doing it, and is young and beautiful and chronically ill and disabled, all the things, right?
Awesome.
She's destroying stereotypes. Same with the girls from Claiming Disability. They are fantastic, and just they're claiming their disability. They're owning it. They're loving it. My friends Dana and Dawn from Myelin and Melanin, which is an their Instagram and their podcast. They are claiming disability. They're talking about intimacy and disability, intimacy and MS. Myelin and Melanin myelin is the nerve covering sheath that you talk about with the MS thing. Yeah, I'm like
Got it.
the thing in the brain and the body everywhere apparently is everywhere. So that they do both have they are both Black women that have MS. Words are hard. I am stuttering, but they talk about things that you're like, well, this is affecting my relationship, but I don't know how to talk about it, or like, their intimacy series is amazing. Everything that they share is really relatable, whether you have MS or not. With all of the people that I mentioned, I think because even though we're all so different, we all struggle with these things. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't look sick, or even if you're full time in a wheelchair, you're like, I still want to feel sexy, and
Oh, yeah.
right, like there's nothing not sexy about it. Like you're still sexy. You're sexy in a wheelchair,
I
okay?
through last month with which was July was like pretty much like Disability Pride Month. It
Yes,
was all about it. I have found so many people that I felt so inspired by because they were like, I want to look sexy in my wheelchair. I want to look sexy using a cane. I want to sexy having a prosthetic leg. And I'm just like, I'm here, like, afraid to walk out with my cane. And you guys are just enjoying this. I love it. It makes me feel better about using a mobility aid.
right.
Um,
Me too. It's so empowering. It's
yeah.
so empowering. That's why I'm like, oh, I love my cane that just like folds up. I can put it in my purse if I don't need
Oh
it
my
because,
God. Yeah. Well,
you know,
I would love to have something like that. Mine has a nickname. It has its own personality,
right.
and it likes to fall and hit other people. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Carl just hit you. He just likes you.
Carl's feeling sassy today.
Yeah. So Jenna, I would love for our important and words, empowered spoonies to connect with you on the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and share your Instagram, which, by the way, everybody is fabulous from quotes to personal images to empowerment throughout the entire time. This is Jenna, the Jenna Green on Instagram. And
Oh,
also,
thank you.
you're welcome. And also, if you wanted to go ahead and just get in contact with Jenna aside from Instagram, she has shared her email, which is thejennagreen@gmail.com.
Jenna
So,
Green was taken like years ago, so now it's the Jenna Green everywhere, and it's just a running joke with everyone. It's just,
but you are the Jenna Green. So it has to be true. It's awesome.
I mean, now I just gotta own it. Like I told you, I can't take myself that seriously.
I have loved connecting with you, Jenna. Thank you so much. And for everybody that is tuning in, before Jenna leaves, I'm going to go ahead and share some events that we have coming up. So, actually, tomorrow we have Tai Chi for the Spoonies. It's August the 13th tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We're both live on Facebook and on YouTube with Miss Lois, which is a Taiji Fit instructor, and I can't wait to share her knowledge with you guys. It's actually not only about Tai Chi, but also a personal practice with her. So hopefully you can join. Also, this weekend we have virtual support group and social hour at 2 p.m. Eastern through Zoom. And we have Later on in the month, Chair Yoga for Spoonies with Eva Montalvo, who is a chair yoga specialist, and it's customized for Spoonies to be able to relax and actually enjoy yoga on a chair. And last but not least, our most important of all, August the 27th, we have Les Ask a Rheumatologist. We are joined by Dr. William Romanos here from South Florida Rheumatology here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so to be friendly to our West Coast and our East Coast, so you actually can join. You can always register for all these events at theinvisiblewarriors.com/events. That again is theinvisiblewarrior.com/events. So, Jenna, before we part ways, I would like to thank you for being here with me today. Love the empowerment and hope that you can join us in future events.
Thank you. I'll be at Tai Chi tomorrow.
Awesome. Yay.
I love
Awesome.
it.
So I'm going to go ahead and end it for today. Bye, Spoonies, and thank you very much for joining us today. And hope all these resources and the awesome experience through Jenna has influenced you to become an advocate through either social media, email, or anything. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask Jenna. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye.